And now you're still litigating something, a person who's not even in the Oval Office anymore. He's not there. Why aren't you talking about the person who's there now? Who is not, doesn't seem to have so much great mental capacity. And yet Democrats are stuck on Joe Biden? Are you out of your mind? This is why Democrats lose. The answer should be Joe Biden is no longer our president. Donald Trump is our president, and that's who we should be focusing on. Why are we focusing on this? And why are we talking about an old man who has cancer, prostate cancer? Why are you kicking someone when they are down? It's absolutely ridiculous. The history books will show if they believe that Joe Biden was selfish, if they believe Joe Biden should have dropped out. Perhaps he should have. But that is not the question right now. That is in the fucking rearview mirror. What are you doing?
I love how all Democrats now all of a sudden want to just move past the whole Joe Biden situation and skip over it. And whenever they're confronted about it, at least most of them, 99% of them, they always revert back to, well, but Trump. Well, but Trump. Well, we're moving forward. You know, like it's absolutely hilarious. But I want to show this clip here of the Megyn Kelly show. Shout out to Megyn Kelly. But she recently brought on Jake Tapper. And as we know, Jake Tapper has been the liar in chief himself. And she called him out straight to his face. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious watching this exchange here. So I want to check it out with you guys. So with that being said, let's dive in.
Knowing what I know now, obviously, I feel tremendous humility about my coverage, that Laura Trump interview, for example, et cetera. She saw something that I did not see at the time, 100%. And I own that. I did ask Joe Biden to be transparent about his health records in an interview in 2020. I did ask him about the fact that voters
but then he wasn't.
Thought that he was not transparent at all. No.
He promised you that he would be transparent about his health records, and then he wasn't. And when you sat with him again,
at all.
including 1 month after the Jackie Walorski thing, you didn't ask him about it. You didn't follow up on the fact that he was falling up the stairs, that he was losing his train of thought regularly, that he was slurring, that he was incomprehensible, that he was getting lost on the White House lawn. You sat right across from him and you asked none of that, notwithstanding the fact that he had promised you he would be fully transparent about his health issues.
That's true, but I did ask him about his age and the fact that the American people had concluded that even though he said whenever anybody brought up the subject of his age, watch me. And I said, yes, they're watching you and they are concerned that you were too old for this job.
But you know as well as I do that there's a way of, you can say, hey, there's this poll on your age, or you could say, you just forgot that Jackie Walorski was dead. You asked where she was moments after watching a videotape tribute to her. You lowered the flags at the White House after she died. This happened 13 days before you sat with him. There is a way of pressing a man like that on the actual infirmities to bring it home to him and to the audience, and you didn't do it.
That's correct. I didn't. And like I said, I feel humility about my coverage. I mean, it's not like I was asking him his favorite movie or his favorite color. We were talking about Putin. We were talking about other issues of national importance. But
see, I have a problem with that. And this is the problem. If that were Trump, he would have no problem pressing Uncle Trump about anything and everything, right? If Uncle Trump doesn't give him the answer that he wants or he is expecting, he'll press him. And we've watched mainstream media do that. A perfect example was the Caitlin Collins. You guys remember this was I don't know, this was probably 2023 maybe. I believe it was around the time where Trump announced him running again for a second time. And he went on and he was asked about I believe it was the Ukraine-Russia war going on. And she was like something along the lines of, hey, do you want Ukraine to win? And he said, I just want people to stop dying. And she paused. And then she asked him again, but she just asked him in a different way. And he gave her the same answer. And then she asked him a third time. See, that's my issue. All right, fine. You didn't press Biden. I wouldn't have an issue with it if you gave that same energy towards Uncle Trump. But the fact that I've watched you give a completely different type of energy, ask questions in a completely different way. As Megyn Kelly just stated there's different ways where you can ask questions, right? And actually, Uncle Trump called out, I can't think of her name off the top of my head, but I think she works for NBC. I can't think of her name, but he called her out. He was like, why do you ask questions in a negative light? Every single question you ask, it's put in a negative, you frame it negatively, right to her face, because that's what they do. If they did that for both sides, I'd have no problem. Or if they didn't press either side, I wouldn't have a problem. There'd be nothing I could complain about. But the fact that they don't, like, this is all bogus from Jake Tapper.
But yeah, I mean, of course, I've said I look back at my coverage with humility, and I wish I did cover the issues of age and acuity, but I wish I had covered them much more. And I wish, I mean, of course, it's May 2025. Do I wish that in that 10, 15-minute interview I had with Biden in October 2022, that this had been the only subject? Because I had then
well, it wasn't
what I know
just that,
now.
though, Jake. It wasn't just that. I mean, you sat with him a couple of times in the course of his presidency, and these issues were not pressed. Well, there was at least that time, and then there was the time at the beginning. And but separate and apart from that, you covered the Biden's presidency. No. Let me just finish my point. You covered the Biden presidency.
I had one interview with him
and it was
during the
13 days after the Jackie Walorski thing. But you covered the Biden presidency aggressively throughout the 4 years, and you didn't cover mental acuity hardly at all. I mean, time and time again, when issues came up, you seemed to be running cover for the president.
I don't think
interested.
That's true.
Well, I mean, we'll start with the Laura Trump issue that you referred. Here it is. This happened in 2020.
Joe Biden, as we all know, has worked to overcome a stutter. How do you think it makes little kids with stutters feel when they see you make a comment like that?
First and foremost, I had no idea that Joe Biden ever suffered from a stutter. I think what we see on stage with Joe Biden, Jake, is very clearly a cognitive decline.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. It makes me uncomfortable
you are
to watch somebody on stage search for
that's so
questions.
amazing.
You're trying to tell me that what I was suggesting was
I think that you were mocking his stutter.
Yeah,
I think you were mocking his stutter, and I think you have absolutely no standing to diagnose somebody's cognitive decline.
And it's very concerning to a lot of people that this could be the leader of the free world.
Okay.
That is all I'm saying. I genuinely feel sorry for Joe Biden.
I appreciate it. I'm sure it was from a place of concern. We all believe that. Laura Trump, thank you so much.
Do you want to apologize to Laura Trump now?
I've already apologized to her. I called her months ago.
And what did she say?
I mean, I don't want to disclose the contents of a private conversation, but I thought the conversation went well. And she has said this publicly, so I feel fine sharing it. She said that she would never mock anybody's stutter. But I mean, after we did the research for this book and I realized how bad his acuity issues were, I called Laura Trump and I said, you were right.
She was totally right. That's the thing, because when I watched that clip, and I'm giving voice to what a lot of people watching the show are feeling, Jake, I feel angry because she was right. And not only did you not allow her to make her comments, but you seemed to try to humiliate her. You had a hostility toward the position, but she was totally right. And then you lectured her on how she was in no position to diagnose cognitive decline, which you guys do at length, including on page 4 of your book. You describe at length his cognitive decline, which is all she tried to do with you. But you had such a visceral reaction to her. And my feeling is that's because you didn't want to hear it.
No, I'm happy to talk about this. I didn't come here thinking that you weren't going to ask me about this. So I'm happy to talk to you about it.
No, I know.
The first time I saw the coverage of Laura Trump's comments, which were interpreted as her mocking Joe Biden's stutter, was in January 2020. I read it in conservative media. I read it in the Daily Mail. And that's where I saw that her comments were being interpreted that way. After those comments were publicized, it got a lot of coverage. And Sully Sullenberger wrote an op-ed in the New York Times criticizing her about this. So that's the context for that, that I was following up on a story that had been out there months before. This is also in the context of October 2020, a very intense time. People on the Biden side are saying crazy things about Trump. People on the Trump side are saying crazy things about Biden, including Don Jr. suggesting that Joe Biden is a pedophile. So That is the larger context. But as I said, her comments have aged well. My comments have aged poorly. I own that. But I think what is significant is, in addition to me owning that, the reporting that Alex and I have done, which is beyond just, and when I say just, I don't mean to diminish it, but the comments of Joe Biden making gaffes, saying things stupid, tripping, are all important and all deserved to be aired and all deserve scrutiny. But as you know, Megyn, because even though you look 30 years younger than me, we're roughly the same age, Joe Biden has been saying stupid things for decades. Okay?
I get what you're saying, but this minimizes it too, because it was more than saying stupid things. But I'm telling you, like over here in my ecosphere, we were covering all of these. It wasn't just falling down. It was getting lost. It was some of the stuff you report in your book. We knew and we were reporting on, like the multi-jump cuts in the videos of him, where it was obvious he couldn't get through a 1-minute take. So they had to use those. It was clear to us that he was using teleprompter, and there was some reporting on that at the time, all of which the White House was denying. Now, with the current White House, I have some connections. With the Joe Biden White House, I had none. But you did. You did. And so while you've been in Washington 30 years, Jake, you guys, you and CNN have White House connections, but there was no effort, none, to get to the bottom of this. And now for you guys to write this book like there was a cover up, it's like there was a cover up and there was an attempted cover up. It could only ever work if you allowed it.
Bingo. That only happened because people like Jake Tapper, amongst others, because he's not the only one, allowed it to happen. I would say they wanted it to happen. So the fact that now they're trying to come out and say, oh no, woe it's me, forgive me, please, I didn't know what was going on. It's like, that's BS. That's bogus. Because we could all see it. I don't have a big media team. I don't have anybody, right? And I can clearly see and put two and two together. Joe Biden's wandering off like a lost puppy. And what's the chick's name? I can't remember I believe, oh crap, where is she from? I can see her face. The chick had to walk over and like guide him back over to the group of folks. He's wandering off. I think he wandered off in the Amazon. Like, come on, bro. Like, what? Tripping over sandbags. Barack Obama's guiding him off the stage. He's stuttering, mumbling, doing all types of crazy stuff. Talking or looking for people who are dead. You just can't make this stuff up. Can't even... Forget about the fact that he had a teleprompter. He couldn't even read it right. End of quote. Repeat the line. Y'all know exactly what moment I'm talking about. Exactly what. All I got to say is end of quote. Repeat the line. Every single one of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. But all of a sudden, people in mainstream media like Jake Tapper, amongst others, who have these big conglomerates behind them, millions of dollars in research, like research teams and everything else. Now you don't know? Come on now, bro. Really? Really? You don't know. And you know what? What's crazy about it? I might be inclined to believe it. But y'all remember when Trump walked down that ramp, that metal ramp, just a little slowly because it was wet? And then all of mainstream media exploded, talking about, oh my goodness, Donald Trump's health is in decline. Oh no, blah, blah, blah. They went crazy because he walked down a ramp a little gingerly because it was wet. Or better yet, y'all remember when Trump like sipped some water slowly? And they went crazy over that too? Why didn't they go crazy over Joe Biden tripping over sandbags, wandering off like a lost puppy, couldn't even read a teleprompter? Why didn't they trip about Joe Biden the same way that they did Trump? They still talk about Trump's cognitive abilities, whatever, right? They still talk. Why didn't they talk about Joe Biden the same way? We all know why. It's a rhetorical question. They work for the Democrat Party. They're in cahoots. That's the only logical explanation. And now people like Jake Tapper are trying to make some money off of it. And to that, I say BS, kick rocks. I hope that book flops. I hope nobody buys a single copy of that book, which I know that's pretty unrealistic. But still, I hope it majorly flops. I hope it majorly flops because he deserves it. Honestly, I think anybody and everybody that participated in that lie deserves to be fired personally. But that's just my humble opinion. What's yours? Let me know. Peace and love. I'm out.